Dear students, welcome back. Today, next lecture in chapter number 3, that's metals and non-metal. You have already attended 4 lectures in this particular chapter where you are given idea regarding physical properties of metals and non-metals as well as chemical properties of metals and non-metal that we already studied. Understood? And most of the chemical properties you might be remembering also. Understand which were those properties? If you can just list it out. We have discussed one property, that was reaction of metals and non-metals with oxygen. Understood? At that time I told you that you must have to remember name of if you can remember in last lecture when we discussed properties of metals, means reaction of metals with oxygen. At that time I quoted down during the lecture name of 3 neutral oxides already, N2O, NO as well as H2O, which are neutral oxide. At the same time you are also given an idea regarding amphoteric oxide that you might be remembering. We discussed also regarding of metals with water. Then we discussed reaction of metal with acid. That chemical property also we discussed in detail. Then we discussed which chemical property? That means reaction of metal with the solution of other metal, where I gave you an idea regarding single displacement reaction, which is just a revision. You studied in chapter number 1 also. In 1 also, if you can remember, single displacement reaction, and that displacement reaction ultimately gives an idea to determine reactivity series of metals. Before we start today's topic, my first question to you is, are you able to remember that metal reactivity series? Can you remember yesterday? And I just gave you the glimpse of reactivity series. We do not have to remember total metals, understand, as far as the reactivity series is concerned. But if you can remember, starting from K, potassium, then Na, sodium, then Ca, then Mg, the last order Cu, Hg, Ag, Au, and the middle order I gave you an idea, if you can remember, aluminium, then zinc, iron, and then PbH. It's quite easy to remember that reactivity series. Today, in lecture number 5, the topic, chapter same as you know. In today's lecture number 5, we are going to discuss regarding Ultimately, it can be called a chemical property also. Understand? The title is Reaction Between Metals and Non-Metals, topic 3.3 of your textbook. There they have given the title, how do metals and non-metals chemically react with each other. The topic which we are discussing just now, I think you got idea about this topic way back in 9th standard. In 9th standard you must have understood chemical bonding, if you can remember. There are two types of why I am discussing this, let me just make the title 3.3. okay. Title I am just writing this way, reaction, okay, between metals and non-metals, okay. I make this title so that I just want to give you a glimpse that the topic which we are going to discuss now, that is reaction between metals and non-metals, is not a new topic for you. If you can remember the formation of ions, formation of ionic bond, ionic compound and covalent compound, this is somewhat like that only. Reaction between metals and non-metal. When you want to discuss regarding reaction between metals and non-metal, some point has to be very clear in your mind. If some and my dear student, one thing you all know, that reaction between any two element, here let us do not speak element, let us speak metal and non-metal. Reaction between metal and non-metal depends on their electronic configuration, electronic arrangement. As you all know, every element, be it metal or non-metal, try to attain octet electronic configuration. That means to acquire, you have studied in previous standard, to acquire 8 electrons in their outermost valence orbit and try to attain electronic configuration like noble gases and become chemically inert or chemically unreactive. Every element, either be metal or non-metal, try to establish this octet state. Understand? Suppose if somebody asks you a question, how many electrons can be in the outermost orbit of metal, can you answer me? Generally, metals have how many electrons in their outermost orbit? 1, 2 or 3. Understand? Some exception take place. Some metal may have 4 electrons, but they are not metal. They are semi-metal or metalloid, having both the property. Just to mention silicon. So silicon has 4 electrons in the outermost orbit, but it possesses some properties of metal and some properties of non-metal. Understand? So generally speaking, metals have 1, 2 or 3 electrons in their outermost orbit, and non-metals have more than 3, means 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 electrons in their outermost orbit. Understand? Metals have 1, 2 or 3 electron in their valence orbit. This word also you can utilize, valence orbit, and non-metals have more than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in their valence orbit. Okay? To have 8 electron in outermost valence shell is considered what? You all know, octet state. Understand? That means chemically inert state. And every element in nature, either be metal or non-metal, try to attain octet electronic configuration. Understand? To become chemically inactive, chemically inert. Okay? Just to understand the reaction between metals and non-metal, we can take at least for the understanding of this topic, how metals and non-metal react with each other. At least we have to take as an example reaction of one metal and non-metal. We have to select one metal and one non-metal. At least suppose, let us try to understand. Suppose I select sodium, Na. I will not write here atomic number, I will just speak, and you all know atomic number of sodium is 11, that you all know. And because atomic number of sodium is 11, its electronic configuration, I am not writing atomic number, just electronic configuration, that is 281. You all know it very well. You already have studied it in detail in previous standard. Now, to become chemically inert, how many electrons are there in the outermost orbit of sodium? Just 1. So, to become chemically stable, sodium has 2 options, either to acquire from other element 7 electron, that's not possible. No element in nature can donate 7 electron. Other way is to lose 1 electron from outermost orbit and become chemically stable. Acquiring 7 electron is out of the scope for sodium. So sodium will lose. Understand? Sodium will lose 1 electron, and because it lose 1 electron, obviously my dear student, it becomes sodium positive ion, that you all know. Now, what is the electronic configuration of sodium as a loss of this electron? 2,8. Can you give me the answer? This is electronic configuration of which noble gas? Can you remember? It is electronic configuration of neon. understand, that is 2, 8. You understood this? Neon is already a stable gas, inert gas. Understand? So sodium ion has acquired electronic configuration similar to neon. Here innovative type of question, my dear student. If in exam you are asked, what is electronic configuration of sodium, so you can directly answer 281. If I ask the question, what is electronic configuration of sodium ion, the 28. I can make a twist question from here also. Suppose my question is, which of the following possess MCQ electronic configuration 2, 8. Other option I may give, the one correct option will be Ne and Na plus. So that way you have to be ready for MCQs which I am asking in WRT. And you all know in every WRT some such innovative type of question are going to be there, and you have to master the content to answer them. Okay? MCQs, applied MCQs are not designed from anywhere else. It is designed from the content you study. You study the content properly, read it again and again, try to memorize things and try to extract MCQs yourself. Then you are able to answer any MCQ. Otherwise, some MCQ books are available in market, will help you for the understanding the formation of the question. But ultimately it is not like that, that only those MCQ will be asked. You have to prepare yourself for innovative type of question. That way you need to prepare yourself. So sodium ion, it has lost one electron already. Now my dear student, sodium, that is metal, as you all know. Now if I write chlorine, Cl, can you remember atomic number of chlorine? That is 17. Okay? And electronic configuration or arrangement, if I start writing, it is 287. If chlorine wants to become chemically stable, it has to acquire or accept one electron from other element. So that is possible, because as far as we have understood the element, any element can donate 1, 2 or 3 electron maximum, and that is only in the case of metal. Non-metal do not have capacity to donate electron, they can only share electron. So here chlorine has 7 electron in its outermost orbit, and chlorine requires one extra electron to become chemically stable and attain electronic configuration like what that we just now discussed. So what happens? The electron donated by sodium is accepted by chlorine, okay, and it becomes chloride negative ion. Understand? And it has attained electronic configuration by acceptance of one electron. Its electronic configuration is 288, which is octet octet electronic configuration and matches to one of the inert gas which you can say argon. Understand? Electronic configuration of argon is 288, right, with atomic number 16 or 18, and it is chemically stable or inert. So now actually what happened? Sodium positive stable ion is formed, chlorine negative stable ion is formed. You should speak chloride ion because both possess opposite electric charge. Sodium positive, chloride ion negative. So because they possess obviously opposite electric charge, there will be no bonding, mind it. There will be one type of electrostatic attraction between sodium positive ion and chloride negative ion. Because of this electrostatic attraction between these two ions, they join with each other, they get attracted, they feel a pull towards each other, understand, and joins and form sodium chloride that we all know. Understand? Just to make more clear, we can show this way also, sodium positive. Okay, suppose this way, and chloride negative, and they have shown this way in textbook. So for your understanding, we can show that way, this way also. Understand? Let us show chloride, chloride ion. I am just showing it. I will not show first two orbit, that you all know. Understand? I will show the last orbit only, right? This is 7 electron initially, but because it is chloride ion, it has accepted 1 electron from sodium and it has become negative ion. Here we can write this way. So sodium positive and chloride negative ion feel electrostatic attraction and forms ionic compound which we call sodium chloride. You understood this? So this is the reaction between metals and non-metals. You can select any ionic compound. Understand? When I'll send you homework, one simple ionic compound I will definitely send you, and there you have to understand how the formation of ion can take place. Let me also explain you one another, okay? Suppose, so this has been clear in your mind. Ionic compounds are formed by molecules, and these molecules are formed by electrostatic attraction between oppositely charged ions. That you should mind, okay? Suppose in exam, my dear student, in my every lecture as I discuss with you, don't just follow textbook. You need to have your own understanding, and your own understanding. Just take an example. I want to discuss with you at least another two ionic compound, understand, so that you can understand how the formation of ionic compound take place. Suppose, my dear student, let us take another ionic compound. Just now I am erasing, that you all know. Suppose I ask you in exam, not sodium chloride. Suppose in exam, I ask you, describe formation of, we are discussing one another, describe formation of magnesium chloride molecule. Okay. So the very first thing, definitely I will never give formula in exam, because last year I have seen that students are feeling difficulty in formation of the formula itself. And at that time, we discussed with the student that if you want to make correct formula, you need to master the concept of valency. You need to have the knowledge of valency of each and every element, and those students who have the knowledge of valency of each and every element can master how to make formula quite easily. Suppose here, my dear student, in exam or in test I give, here I am discussing the topic which has been a part of your textbook, but as I told you that I may give, or when we meet in live classroom, we will discuss another such type of ionic compound also. Suppose we want to discuss formation of magnesium chloride. So the very important thing is, first, a student needs to have the correct concept of the formula of magnesium chloride. Understand? And for that, you know the formula of sodium chloride. What you have written just now? NaCl. Understand? So student will start making mistake here only. Okay, formula of sodium chloride, Bharat sir said NaCl. So formula of magnesium chloride, obviously MgCl. Here is the mistake. Because if you have idea regarding the valency of both this ion Mg and Cl, means if you have idea regarding valency of magnesium and chlorine, you can make the formula easily. Can anybody guess? Valency of magnesium is +2. Valency of chloride is -1. So obviously, when you form magnesium chloride, understand the overall charge has to be neutral on any molecule. So here what can happen? Can you answer? Because magnesium valence is +2 and chlorine has valency only -1, but 2 chlorine atom if there, understand, then -1 turns out to be -2. So what could be the formula? Can you say? MgCl2. This way, my dear student, you are able to write the formula. Just at home, try to guess the formula of aluminium chloride. Can you say? What is the valency of aluminium +3? So because aluminium has capacity to deliver 3 electrons, there has to be 3 chlorine atom to accept 3 electrons from aluminium. So can you guess the formula? AlCl3 silicon chloride. Silicon valency of silicon is +4, has capacity to deliver 4 electron. Understand? No doubt it has always tendency to share, but this is just for giving you an idea how to make formula. Here just now you accept that silicon is delivering 4 electrons, suppose. So it needs 4 chlorine atom to accept 4 electron. So what could be the formula of silicon chloride? Can you say? SiCl4, this way. This way, if you have the knowledge regarding valency of each and every element, you are able to make the formula yourself. Here we are discussing magnesium chloride. Formation of magnesium chloride. Let us first discuss about magnesium. Can you guess what is the atomic number of magnesium? That is 12. Electronic configuration, if you write, it is 282. Obviously, valence shell possess 2 electrons. To become chemically stable, it requires to accept 6 electrons, which is not possible in nature. Understand? It is never possible. No element is able to donate 6 electrons. So magnesium has the only way to donate 2 electrons, understood, and attain electronic configuration this way, and it forms magnesium ion. Can you say its electronic configuration is looking like neon? Understand? What is the configuration of neon? 2, 8. So it has become chemically stable now. Because magnesium donate 2 electrons, magnesium require 2 chlorine atom to accept 2 electrons. It requires 2 chlorine atom. So if I just want to show you how the bonding take place, understand, this way, here I can write this way. Suppose 2 chlorine atom, understand, gets 2 electron and forms 2 chloride ion. And when Mg and 2 magnesium plus and 2 chloride ion joins with each other, what they form? They form magnesium chloride. Right? This magnesium chloride ion is formed, or a molecule is formed. Just to show in the form of bonding, this way you can see, so Mg, suppose, plus 2. It joins with how many chlorine atom? 2 chlorine atom, which turns into 2 chloride ion. So this way you can show, my dear student, one here. Ultimately, it's not so difficult or complicated to understand if you take good interest. 1 chlorine I show here, 1 chlorine let me show here. Both chlorine require how many electrons from magnesium? 1 electron. It is a demand of each and every chlorine atom. So here what happens? Let us show it. There were 7 electrons. Here also let us show 7 electron, okay, and 1 electron we show by some different color so that you can understand. 1 electron I show by this way, which is actually a donation of magnesium. So magnesium donated 1 electron to 2 chlorine atom, and 2 chlorine atom converted into 2 chloride ion, and as a result we get an ionic compound which we call magnesium chloride. Understand? By electrostatic attraction, one more thing, my dear student, which you should understand. Ionic compound is formed by electrostatic attraction between ions, and obviously the electrostatic attraction is always stronger. Understand? So we have discussed about 2 ionic compounds. We discussed about sodium chloride, we discussed about magnesium chloride. This way I can give any ionic compound to you in our WRT, which is out of scope for you. Understand? You are suppose reading textbook and preparing NaCl, MgCl2. I ask in exam LCl3. So you have to prepare this way. Aluminium plus 3 chloride ion you have to show. So this way you have to prepare yourself for any type of MCQ or any type of question which can be asked to you. Now if we want to discuss, this is the formation of ionic compound, and it is actually a presentation of reaction between metals and non-metal. Understood? Suppose as other ionic compound also we can mention magnesium oxide ionic compound, calcium oxide ionic compound. These are some other ionic compounds you can mention. But at the same time, if and I think the topic which we just discussed now, I don't think a new topic for you. We understood the reaction between metals and non-metals already, okay? And when metals and non-metals react with each other, obviously they form ionic compound. So when we are discussing about the formation of ionic compound, so definitely when the formation of ionic compound you are discussing, you need to discuss about obviously properties of ionic compound. I don't think it may be such new topic for you. Understand? It does not involve any chemical reaction, just understanding properties of ionic compounds. Understand? Before you discuss properties of ionic compound, you must mind one thing very clearly, that is ionic compounds are formed by electrostatic attraction between what? Between oppositely charged ions. Understood? Suppose if you are asked write properties of ionic compound, so my dear student, what can you say about their physical state. So mostly ionic compound are solid in state. Actually sometimes they are crystalline solid also, like sodium chloride, one of the ionic compound. You can find the crystals of sodium chloride already, right? So as far as the physical state is concerned, ionic compound are available in solid state because they are formed by electrostatic attraction between the ions. Understand? And if, because they are formed by electrostatic attraction between the ions, understand, they are brittle also. If force is applied, then this oppositely charged ion, understand, because this electrostatic attraction is there, it breaks. So that's why they are called crystalline solid also. Suppose you think of what is their solubility. My dear student, some word as far as properties of ionic compound are concerned, some word are going to be there which I want to just give you an idea, will help us in conceptually understanding in chapter number 4, organic compound. If I speak the word, if you try to dissolve ionic compound in, I am speaking word in inorganic solvent like water. Water is an inorganic solvent, so they are soluble. Most ionic compound are soluble in water. Water is one of inorganic solvent, but ionic compound are not soluble in organic solvent like benzene, which you haven't seen, maybe may you have seen sometime in laboratory, benzene, ether, even alcohol, understand, carbon disulfide, they are all considered organic solvent. So ionic compound are soluble in inorganic solvent like water, understand, but they are insoluble in organic solvent like ether, benzene, alcohol, etc. Regarding their melting point, so obviously you can understand ionic compounds has got high melting point. Suppose at home you just try, do one experiment, take some salt in any vessel and without adding water just try to heat it. It will take lots of time and it requires lots of heat energy to come into molten state. Why ionic compound has got a high melting point? The very first important thing, ionic molecules, ionic compound molecules are formed by electrostatic attraction between the ions, and these electrostatic attraction are very stronger. So if you want to melt any ionic compound, first you need to break this electrostatic attraction between the ion, and for that purpose you require lots of heat energy to be supplied to ionic compound. So that's why ionic compound has got high melting point, understand, and obviously high boiling point also. Regarding conduction of electricity, so generally ionic compound in solid state are always a bad conductor of electricity, because you all know for the conduction of electricity you require, understand, ions. So when ionic compound are dissolved in water, they separates into ions. or when you melt them, at that time also they separate into ion. The process of disionization, understand, means ions are separated, and when ions are available either in their aqueous solution or in molten state, they are able to conduct electricity. So you can say that normally ionic compound are bad conductor of electricity, but either in aqueous solution or in molten state, they are good conductor of electricity. You understood this? So these are some properties of ionic compound. You can understand this, and all properties you need to remember can be asked as a give reason also, that why ionic compound has got high melting point. And if it is asked that explain scientific statement, ionic compound are bad conductor but good conductor in molten state or in aqueous solution, so you have to be as certain in your answer that ionic compound in solid state do not have free ion to conduct electricity, but in molten state or in aqueous solution they have free ions available which will help them to conduct electricity. Understood? So this is properties about ionic compound, and we have discussed today topic 3.3, that is reaction between metals and non-metals and properties of ionic compound. Okay? So my dear student, you must have understood the topic in detail. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss a huge topic, that is extracting metal, refining them and then utilizing them, a total concept of metallurgy industry. Understand? Okay? So thank you very much from Bharat sir for attending today's lecture.